For my second pick, I am going with, I guess it is a team that has nothing to play for against a team that does have something to play for. They are a favorite, though, so not quite adhering to your Eagles trend, but going Broncos 3.5 favorites over the Oakland Raiders here. First of all, the Raiders coming off a win against the Chargers in LA.
This fits the criteria, by the way. The Raiders win. If they win, the Raiders have a shot to make the playoffs. If O'Brien does start his starters and the Ravens beat the Steelers, which could happen, we'll get to that game, and the Raiders win and the Colts beat the Jags, which none of that is crazy. The Raiders are in the playoffs, so they are playing. This is a must-win for them. So this game does fit the criteria.
Yeah, and so first of all, it's like the Raiders beat the Chargers in LA. Big whoop-de-doo. Who doesn't? I mean, come on at this point. Yeah, I think we talked about it on the show. It's like you can never trust the Chargers as a teaser when they're a favorite. It's all like I'm waiting for your Phillip Rivers underdog teaser piece today. I'm sure you're going to talk about it at some point. So I'm fading the Raiders coming off this win that was not as surprising as maybe people think it was. If you fade John Gruden historically versus a sub 500 team going back to 2003, you are 27-19-2 against the spread. That's 59%. If you fade the Raiders on the road under John Gruden, you're 10-5 against the spread. And in these new iteration of Raiders. So since he started coaching them last year, and that's even with the cover against the Chargers last week. So still failing to cover in 2 out of every 3. If you fade Gruden after a win all time, going back to 2003 in our database, you are 65% against the spread. And then, of course, as you mentioned, you have all kind of the factors working in your favor, with Broncos really having nothing to play for, the Raiders having everything to play for. Now Gruden, it looked like Josh Jacobs was definitely going to play. Now they're saying, maybe not. We're not going to rush him back. We're going to play with the best guys we have. So I don't know if he had a setback or if that's just, them Gruden being coy or what, but that's also something to monitor. But, I like the Broncos in this one. I think it's tough to come into Mile High late in the year. You're a team that plays in Cali. You're kind of, you just picked up a win against another team that plays in Cali. Now you're going into Mile High. Totally different kind of game. Physical Broncos team that knows that you have something at stake, a team that you beat earlier in the year to start the year, that kind of left you off on like a sour note to start the year. So revenge game aspect for the Broncos, usually like to target the team that didn't cover in the first meeting in these divisional games as well. So a lot of factors in favor of the Broncos, and I just think they're the better team at this point. I think the Raiders have kind of been outplaying their what their true talent level is all season. That was the case. I remember earlier at one point they had a winning record and a negative point differential, which is kind of indicative of a team that's doing that. But right now, Broncos playing solid football with Drew Lock. He hasn't been horrible. Their defense is still good. This Raider defense is not good, so I don't think they're the kind of team that really can take advantage of a rookie quarterback and his experience, because they don't get a lot of pressure. And so he's going to be able to kind of complete balls to Sutton, to Fant. Deshaun Hamilton finally showing some life after he was just invisible all year. Was supposed to be a good player for the Broncos, but just invisible through 2 quarterbacks, Flacco and Allen, now starting to show some life. So I think the Broncos will be able to move the football. On one side, I think the Raiders will struggle a little bit against that defense and struggle with the just being on the road in Mile High. So give me the Broncos 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I mean, this is still an Oakland team that went to the Jets and lost 34-3. It's still an Oakland team that lost 40-9 to the Chiefs, 42-21 to the Titans, blew a lead to the Jags. I mean, this is what they've been doing at home.
That's the worst one.
This is what the Raiders have been doing over the past month. So a random win over the Chargers last week doesn't really change my opinion on them. And then something else to keep in mind is not only do you have the Jacobs injury, and that's their offense. Their defense stinks. I mean, everyone knows that. Their defense is terrible. Their offense was doing some really good things. And it all started with a really healthy Jacobs. But Now you not only have a fully healthy Jacobs, you lost Trent Brown, Richie Incognito was hurt. So that offensive line, which was also the key piece to the offense, it was basically just pound Jacobs, set up some play action, some short passes with a really good offensive line. You can be an efficient offense that way when you have a star back. But that's not all there now. So, yeah, I agree. For this contest, you get 3.5. It doesn't matter if you have 3, but I'm waiting on 3 for anyone out there. So right. You should probably get a 3 because, again, this is a situation where as the week goes on, you start to hear this, these, Raiders can get the playoffs with a win, and you're going to probably see a lot more Raiders money than Broncos money, and that 3 should pop eventually.
You're up next.
So, and that goes back to my whole point in the situation. Like, this line should be 4.5 or 5, 5.5, and now it's just coming down because of who needs to win. And then you get a 3, and all of a sudden you're getting 2 points of value.
I mean, I need those 2. I need those points though, because this is an off-brand pick that is pretty much guaranteed to bite me in the ass. So I need those extra points.
Fair.